And thanks to everyone who's hopping on. I'm going to give it like 45 more seconds, let a few people join us, and then we'll get things kicked off. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for joining our webinar today. This is automating Revit Worksets for improved visibility. We've got our Director of Customer Success, Amber Zinky, and Customer Success Rep, Mackenzie Page on the call today to walk you through Worksets. Now, this webinar is being recorded, and we're going to post the recording to YouTube within the next 24 hours. We put all of our demos and recordings there, so make sure you're following the Evolve MEP YouTube channel for lots of helpful Revit resources. And then if you have a question, please use the Q&A function in your Zoom toolbar, and we may have some time at the end to go over those. And if not, we'll try to reach out to you via email. So go ahead and submit it anyways. All right, and with that, I will pass it off to Amber.
Awesome. Thank you, Marina. All right, so let's dive right in here. So I'm going to share my screen.
Great, we can see that.
Perfect. All right, so when it comes to this webinar here, we're going to be covering a few different things. I'm going to keep it, I guess, a mixture of skill sets. So depending where you're at, if you've never touched a work set, we'll talk through some things. And if you know some of the frustrations of work sets, we're going to find some solutions for that as well for y'all. So again, a good mixture here. So first and foremost, for this demonstration, I'm going to come in here and enable my work sets here. So I'm going to enable work sharing. So that is the first step, is making sure that this is a model that has our enabled work sharing. And we're going to set up some work sets. Give it a few seconds while it's creating this for us. All right. So when it comes to work sets, every company is going to be different on how you set up work sets, and sometimes per project is going to be a little bit different for your work sets. So I'm not going to tell you how to set up work sets in the way of what you want to have it as, but I've seen, a pretty extensive amount of work sets used within a project. And then I've seen it where maybe a few things are utilized. Maybe it's you break it up based on like your conduit and hangers, or when it comes to your different services. So the amount of work sets or how you break it up, it's totally up to you all. I'm going to create just some basic ones here. I'm going to create one for conduit, and create one for equipment, and I'm just going to give a good EQ. Do one for hangers. Again, you might do it for like underground versus overhead. You might do it by based on, again, like different systems or, your services. So again, that way it's totally up to you all. I've also seen work sets being tied to an individual. So everyone has like their own individual work set. So at that point, if you, again, want to have that for the ease of work sharing, that is another thing I've seen as well. All right, so we had a nice base of some work sets, and I'm gonna hit OK here. So it's acting or asking me, do I want to have my cable tray as my active work set? Sure, I'll say yes. So for anybody on this call who does not know, whatever your active work set here, so whatever it is listed here as, is going to be the one where when you draw in content or you model in anything in general, you are going to then have those elements fall within this work set. So if you don't switch to the right work set, it can cause some not so fun time because depending on how you have your view set up, things might not be visible. So speaking of that, depending on if you have a view template, sometimes people will, again, establish what work sets you want on or off within each view template. So if I wanted to come in here, you're going to see, depending on your work sets, there is going to be your ability to come in here and establish which ones you want turn on or which ones you want off. So maybe in this view, I do not want any of my work set 1 turned on. Then I would be able to come in here and turn that off. Also, throwing out there, there is going to be some poll questions throughout this as well. So when you have a moment, please feel free to answer some of those poll questions as well. But when you come in here, you can see it, you can show it, hide it, or again, the global setting, which is making it visible. So with that being said, the frustration is sometimes not knowing what work set is, again, active, or some of your elements that are established. Maybe you don't know what work set is, again, assigned to it. So you're going to see that by clicking on an element, scrolling all the way down, you're going to see the work set itself, and then the work set it is associated with. How to, in native Revit, change this is if I want this to be equipment, I'm going to come in here and switch it. So there's technically, again, 2 ways that you can quickly change the work set of an element or establish a work set of an element is prior to placing it, establishing it this way, or if you ever make a mistake, you can always click on an element and switch it to the right work set based on, again, that manual process of coming into an element and scrolling down within your properties and changing it that way. Again, you can always do multiple ones as well. So if you want to click all of them and then change it, you can do that as well. But one thing that you can also do within Evolve, just to see how things are or make sure everything is established, is you could utilize Colorizer. So Colorizer is a utility within Evolve. Right now, I'm in Evolve Electrical, but everything I'm showing will work with Evolve Mechanical. And if time allows, I'll kind of give a little bit of a preview on that as well on the mechanical side. But with the colorizer, I could do just a simple one just to make sure I have all the elements established on the works that I'm looking for. With colorizer, you could do it as you break it up for a certain color for every work set. So maybe again, if you're breaking it by system, you want a different color associated with each system. You can actually establish that within Colorizer. What makes Colorizer different than just native Revit filtering is this is more of a universal where I could say, I want this for my entire project, or I can specify certain views within this. So it's not something where you have to go to every single view and establish a view template or filters. Colorizer is also great for more of a QC process too. So we'll kind of talk through that as well. But we're going to create 2 simple ones here. And actually, I'm going to delete one of them for now. So I'm coming here, establishing that I want some kind of back-ended settings turned on. I'm going to establish that I'm looking for a rule name. Description is going to be allowing you to tell some of your coworkers why you're creating this. These are project-based, so a lot of settings within Evolve are going to be project-based, meaning you set this up, and then everybody who has an Evolve license will have also access to these settings. So you can set up once and you're good to go. You can also export and import into your next project as well. Since we do have work sharing enabled, you are going to see this owner. So this is owned by me. So you're not going to have any, I guess, fights in the way of you're establishing a rule and somebody's also trying to create that. There's not going to be any of that stepping on toes at that point. So I can establish my element filter in the way I can come in here and say I want to impact all of my elements. So I can, with this, get really specific in the way of, again, I can come in here and establish a colorizer rule for all of my elements in the way of all my conduit that fall within a certain work set. I want it to be a certain color. But for this one, I'm keeping it high level and I'm looking for all elements that have a work set established as work set 1. Because in my mind, that's telling me that I have not specified, a specific work set for them quite yet. The view filter is where I can establish the views themselves. So if I click this, I'm saying I want this for my entire project, all my views, or I can become view specific and come in here and say view name contains QC. You are going to see that the active view I'm in here, I do have QC in the view name. Again, just having some QC action going on here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to establish this color being red, saying that I want all elements to turn red if they're on this work set. And I'm going to come here and actually establish that within here. So I'm saying all elements that fall within workset 1, within this one view, I want them to be red. And I'm going to enable this. And then the second one I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to say I want to clear the color itself once this does not contain workset 1. So just a simple one, nothing too crazy here. And we're going to refresh this view. And actually make this automated. So what I was doing there is that action here, I can have this automatically change. So, when I'm making adjustments, it's going to automatically change. So you're going to see right now, I have all of this elements are red because it is indicating that they are not associated with a certain work set. So this is one way that you can utilize Evolve is more so like a color or like more of a visual aspect of, oh no, something is on the wrong work set, just visually speaking, because I'm seeing a color. So again, I can come in here and switch it to equipment. And then at that point, it is no longer red. So a nice little quick way to visually see that. Yes, so great question. How is Colorizer different from the filter rules and filters? A great question. So it works very similar to filters and view templates, but it's helpful in the way of you can come in here and again specify it right within here for the view filter. So again, instead of with templates or filters, having to go to every single view and establishing that, you can establish this right here. So I could say for all my views, or again, maybe you have, within your setup, you have certain breakdowns of like conduit or cable tray or, your duct versus your pipe, blah, blah, blah. If you have that broken up, you can establish it right within here. So certain rules will then be impacted only by that. And then within here, you can also kind of have a little bit of fun of, again, kind of like this, where it's triggering, based on certain, again, parameters that you're looking for, gives you a little bit more control. And then also anything that you typically wouldn't be able to, again, find or establish that way, we have a little bit more ways to, I guess you can say, be a little bit more in depth with what you can find to change the color of it. But great question there. All right, so let's come in here and talk about some other stuff here. So I'm going to quick use my auto route, place some conduit here, and also throw in some hangers just so we can have some fun things to play around with when it comes to this. All right, another pole going up here as well. Actually, let's redo that and let's make sure that I have extended equipment checked. get that rocking and rolling here. And let's remove this. So we got some of our conduit placed here. One thing is, again, you're like, oh, it didn't turn red on me. So with the colorizer, again, there is some functionality too to have it be a manual or also the automated. So again, you can utilize this more as like a QC check for you. So you can have them turned off. And then when you want it to turn on, you could refresh it or you can have it automated as well. So something that you can also have in the back of your pocket to again, just make sure that you're holding yourself accountable for that as well. All right. So let's talk about how we can actually automate work sets now. So again, we have them set up. We understand how to do it manual in the way of switching it, or again, making sure that this is established. With Evolve, we have something called our workset manager here. So with our workset manager, one thing is if you were to try to do this with, again, your project not established for your quote unquote work sharing, you aren't able to select this or open it up. So again, that's kind of a prerequisite is making sure that you have that established. So if you are utilizing worksets, then we can set this up. And again, these are project-based settings, meaning one person can set this up and you're good to go. So you are going to see very similar to a lot of our other utilities. It has a very similar layout with this. So my group, I can come in here and establish again how I want to break this up. Maybe these are work sets for like QC work sets for this, or again, I want to say that this is for like my conduit or however you want to break this up. The group is just a way to then be able to come in here and group it. So if you have a ton of work sets, this is super nice to kind of start to group it up, organize this, so then you can, again, just have everything visually look nice. For this, we are going to come in here and say conduit. So with this, I am saying I want my rule name to be conduit. Description, you could say, a work set for all elements that are quote unquote conduit. With my element filter is also a standalone tool within Evolve. It allows you to be able to easily select, isolate, make halftone, make transparent elements based on parameters. We also utilize it throughout the software to again be able to really specify what you're looking for. So like with this one, we're keeping it very high level and say that we're looking for our conduits, but we could get this a little bit more granular and say, based on the fact that we're looking for EMT conduit or we're looking for PVC. So you can actually specify the different system types, or we can come in here and establish based on like size or however you all start to break up your more that the visibility of your view itself. So we're keeping this very high level. Say I'm looking for conduit fittings and conduits in general. This is one thing I'll show this off, but with this conduit fittings here is a perfect example of the fact that a lot of our content, not a lot of it, but a good amount of it is established as conduit fittings. So when we're looking at establishing our hanger, we'll want to specify what type of conduit fittings that we're looking for. So we've established that we are looking for just simple conduit and conduit fittings, and then we can come in here and establish the work set that we're looking for. And similar enough, we can do this on any update, or you can also have it more of like a manual. So maybe you want to check to make sure that everybody at the end of the day has the elements on the right work set. Personally, I'm a big fan of just automating it. So again, as you're placing in content or kind of just doing day-to-day life, you don't have to worry about work sets in general. So I'm gonna and we're gonna enable this. We're gonna do a few more here. So we're gonna do hangers. Come in here and establish that we're looking for our conduit fittings. And we're going to come in here and say family name contains trap. I'm looking for some trapeze hangers. But again, if you want to break it up even more, you can. There's a million ways to do one thing. So it's really just how we can incorporate this or work with this based on what you're currently doing and how you have your existing content set up or in general. So with this as well, it doesn't have to be evolved content as well for this to work. Anything within your project, you can establish the work sets for as well. And we're going to come in here and establish that we're looking for hangers. And we're going to do another one. We're going to do this for cable tray. And we'll just knock it out and do equipment as well. Go a little bit faster here. So we're looking for cable tray. Like getting those fittings in there as well. And then equipment. Do electrical equipment. You do mechanical equipment. Again, this will work even if you're doing ITMs, RFAs. This will work in general. Establish the work set and specify the execution as well. I'm going to do a bulk update here, so then I don't have to worry about enabling all of them. So again, you can do bulk updates too to help with that process. And we can also come in here and do that for this too. So again, little things to help with just the speed in general of this. So the biggest thing for setting up the workset manager is really just establishing, the rule name, what you're looking for, and then what do you want on the workset. I've seen really cool things in the way of, establishing, based on an elevation. So it automatically trigger to have it then be placed on a work set based on an elevation. So again, we're keeping it high level, but you can do some really cool stuff with this to make sure that everything is on the right work set. So even if you have really complex or crazy setup for work sets, we can do some pretty cool stuff. Also, some of our other utilities will help with this too in the way of you could link this with parameter sync. So again, if something is on the wrong floor, you could have it be moved. So little things like that too, again, just really make sure that your model is what you're looking for and again, extra added in QC efforts as well. All right, so now with this process here, you are going to see that everything is now on the right work set. So our equipment is on the right work set. Our conduit is on the right work set. We come in here and throw in some hangers here. So I'm in my cable tray work set right now here. That's my active work set here. But as I'm throwing in my hangers, then you don't have to worry about it. So it's again establishing that, and you're pretty much good to go at that point. And then what's nice about this too is once you've established it as well, there's going to be some, again, like safety nets. So you're not able to physically change it to the wrong work set too. So if somebody isn't aware of kind of the setup or kind of how this is established, you aren't going to have to worry about somebody coming in here and changing things to the wrong thing as well. So again, nice little safety nets to make sure everything is ready to go and accurate as well. Right. So I'm going to show this off a little bit more here, but I know we got about, 4 more minutes here. So if there is questions, definitely let me know. And also if, you know, based on if you are an active customer or if you're not, if you want help with kind of setting these up or if you have questions about it, again, always recommend getting a demo or also just reaching out to us. You can always contact support to help or again, just reach out to us directly about any questions as well. So the colorizers will print itself. So if you want to establish it and have it again established within your actual sheets themselves. So if you're creating a drawing, they will see that. As of right now, I know this wasn't asked, but question wise for like let's say if you export to Navisworks, that is one thing. It won't necessarily carry it through that way. We do have some tools within our Evolve Electrical for like our Conduit Run schedule. Our Conduit Run schedule, you can establish your material associated with your elements. So based on like a system itself. So that will carry through. So with Navisworks, it does need that like material associated with it.
Great, Amber. I know we're almost at time. Is there anything else you want to cover today, or do you want to jump into wrap up?
Yeah, just kind of showing off the little bit here and we'll be ready to go. So I kind of want to show off that the hangers themselves I established the cable tray. Ah, darn. But yes, you can see that they will be in there. And then one thing is, like I said, if you wanted to physically change this to the wrong work set, again, it will kick it back to the right work set for you as well. So you don't have to worry about, again, somebody coming in here and changing it to the wrong work set. But yeah, if there is any questions, definitely let us know. And yeah, I'll kick it back to you, Marina.
Great. Thanks so much, Amber, for sharing. And yeah, I know some of the tools that we shared today are exclusive to Evolve. So if you're not already an Evolve customer and you want to be able to work with worksets even easier, scan the QR code there. Meet with us. Let's have a conversation about if Evolve's a right fit for you. And please reach out to us if you guys have any more questions. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up for anyone else who, for just a minute or two. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. And we hope that you found the information valuable. And I'll state one more time that you can find the recording on the Evolve MEP YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and other social media channels to keep getting access to awesome resources like this. All right, folks, we're at time, so I'm going to close it out. Thanks again for coming, and everyone have a great day.